Developer. Today we are going to start a playlist where we will do the practices on unit tests using ASP.NET Core. I will use Visual Studio Code as a IDE and you can use any other IDE. I have created a GitHub repository, that's why you are able to see these files, and I will share the link in the description so you can clone it and you can use it. Back to the Visual Studio Code so we can start the unit testing. First of all, I will create a folder called test. As I am going to create only the MSTest project, I'm not going to create any class library or web API which we are going to test, because for time being I just want to demonstrate with the classes. Create new MSTest project in Visual Studio Code using Mac. I will press Command P and then greater than sign, and then I can search for new project, and then I need to search for MsTest. I will select that one. Then I need to give a name, so I will give it a name, unit test practices. Okay, and I can choose the directory, so I need to choose the test, so it should be created inside the test folder, and then I need to just click on create project. So it will create a project with the one class, call it unit test 1, and we can see these attributes are by default added. First we need to create a folder called DTOs. Inside this DTO folder we need to create a class called customer.cs. Then we need to create the class by adding this code of the class customer, and then we need to define a property called ID. Then we need to define a property called name, and we will assign a string.empty to the name. Now save the file, and now we need to write the unit test. To write the unit test, first of all I will rename this class, call it customer test, and also I need to rename it here customer test. Now let's rename the method test method. Remember one thing, the test method name should be very clear. We will rename it to verify default constructor, and every test should have three things. First of all, arrange, then act, then assert. Let me explain them briefly. What is arrange? Arrange is place where we need to write the code, means to declare the variables, define the variable, mock some methods which is required for the X. Act is the actual action which we need to do. For example, we need to create an instance of the customer, we need to call the methods, so forth, so on. And then in assertion we just verify the expected value, what we are expecting after the act. Let's write the arrange. In our case, arrange is that whenever we create a constructor, the ID value should be 0 and the customer name should be empty. So for that I need to create a variable called ID, and I will assign it to 0, and then I need to create a string name which will be empty. And act, what we need to do is we just need to create a customer constructor. And then an assertion, what we will do, that we will say assert that r equal id is equal to the customer.id, and then assert that r equal name to the name. Test, first we need to clean the solution, then we need to rebuild it, and just simply navigate to the testing, and then you will be able to see only one unit test right now because we have only one unit test, and then you just need to simply click on the run test. As you can see that the unit test has passed. Now what we need to do to make sure that it's working fine, to John, and if I will save the file and rerun the unit test, it will be failed and it will say that the expected value is John, but actually after creating the constructor the video is empty. So now we will revert it, and then if we will run it, it will be success. To create a GraphQL APIs which will have queries, which will have mutation, and it will also have dependencies on the class library, and each class library will have its own business, and we will write the unit test for each class library, and we will mock its dependency, we will mock the database, we will mock the abstract class interface. Thank you for watching.